Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Nonprofit Show. Summer's coming, things are heating up. Things are heating up at the Nonprofit Show for sure, because we're going to be talking about running a summer camp. So many nonprofits look to this type of programming, and we have one of the all-time experts, Dawn Trapp, CEO of the Civitan Foundation, with us today, and she's going to guide us through how her amazing organization has had a very successful history of running their summer camps. And so I can't express how thrilled I am, Dawn, to have you. Welcome.
Thank you, Julia. I'm really excited to be here too. And I don't know if I'm an expert, but I've been doing this for a long time. So I know a little bit.
I think you know a lot of it, my friend, a lot of it. Well, you know what knows who we think about a lot of it, I should say, is our presenting sponsors. And they include Bloomerang, American Nonprofit Academy, Staffing Boutique, JMT Consulting, Interim Executives Academy, Your Part-Time Controller, and Fundraisers Friday. I'm Julia C. Patrick, CEO of the American Nonprofit Academy. Delighted to be part of this national co-host panel. But more importantly, I'm delighted to have Dawn Trapp, CEO of Civitan Foundation, on for this special episode of the Nonprofit Show. Hey, welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here, Julia. Thanks for the invitation.
Well, it's really interesting. I was thinking in preparation for today, I've known you, and I shouldn't say I've known I've known your work, right? For
Yeah,
so long. And I've
yeah.
been able to see the magic that you've created with your organization through good times, through bad times. You mentioned in the green room that you all did not stop your camps even during COVID.
We did not. We made the decision to stay open, and it was probably one of the best decisions that we made
Mhm.
for everybody, for staff, for members, for families, and for Civitan as a whole. Yeah, we stayed open. It was a lot smaller than we would typically be, but we decided to do it. We actually extended 4 extra weeks at the end. What happened
Mhm.
was our staff, we were done. It was, we're getting to the last week of camp, and it was going to be over. And we did a lot of outside stuff. We played outside as much as possible. Of course, took the precautions that were advised and tried to do the best we could with that. But all of a sudden our staff was in tears because there was no college. They had no place to go.
Mhm.
And they didn't want to move back home again. They'd been at camp for 12 weeks. So we extended for 4 more weeks, and we had camp for 4 more weeks, and got to, have more campers come and do that. And so, yeah, that continuous, we've been running since 1968 and pretty much continuously since that period of time, although very different. Let's kind of put it that way.
So
Than-
1968, our country looks differently, behaves differently. We don't have the technology that we have
Mhm.
now. We have different thoughts about the population that you serve. Um, Holy moly, it's like a lifetime ago. I would venture to say that the majority of the people on your team and your staff weren't even born in
Oh
1968.
yeah, never. Yeah, yeah. That's absolutely true.
So
Yeah,
talk to
I
us.
mean, I have a lot of long timers. I
Yeah,
honestly
yeah,
do.
sure,
But
sure.
yeah, the majority of our staff who are working frontline and doing that piece of our business, no, they're typically young.
Mhm.
That's really that's kind of what lends itself to camp. Although it doesn't need to be that way, and it doesn't have to be that way, and we don't. We still have some staff. I mean, I have a staff member that's going to be coming this summer, and she's 81 years old. So,
Oh my gosh.
it's camp is for everybody, definitely
Right.
so.
So Don, explain to us who your camper profile and who you serve, because I think that's even more fascinating when you
Yeah.
think about the arduous nature of running a summer camp. And
Well,
you've escalated that.
yeah. We're a disabilities camp, and all different types of disabilities is who and what we serve, and been doing it since 1968. Like I said, there's been many different levels of how that looked. I actually first became involved with Civitan as a club member. Civitan is an international organization, although the foundation here in Arizona is sole and separate from there. We actually just got our name from a donation. It was a donation of a piece of land back in 1968 from a Civitan club member, and so it was called Civitan. That's what they called it, Camp Civitan. As we've grown and as we've developed, we decided, we really thought hard. We decided to keep the name, even though we are not part of the international organization, nor supported from them. So when I first came, I was in a club and I went there and I helped to volunteer. I cleaned up camp. We used to always have a lot of volunteers, club members go and clean up camp. And that was my first introduction. And I hate to say that is probably close to 35 years ago, my first
Wow.
walking onto camp and doing that. I've held this position now for almost 24 years as a CEO. And when I started, we had camp sometimes 4 weeks a year, and that was kind of it. And it just wasn't enough. We were at a period that we didn't have anything else. We didn't have all the other programs that we have now, and so we needed to figure out what we were going to do. And my husband was on the board, and they said, "We're closing Camp Civitan." I said, "Oh no, this is not going to happen." I was in between careers. I was leaving the travel agency field and coming into something else. I didn't know what it was, and so this is what it was. I said, "I can book it. I can book it. I'll help do this." So I was knocking on doors of churches, of schools, of anybody I could to try to fill it. And then we had a grant writer who suggested that we really should look at becoming a vendor with the state. So we went through that process and we obtained our license to become a DDD, DES vendor to serve the population and be able to collect the fees that help with the camp fees that way. So we did that. And now we have all kinds of programs. Our families just asked for more. That's why we have day programs, employment services, social enterprises, thrift stores, full commercial kitchens, a lot of different things that we do. But it really supports the members and the individuals that we serve. Camp will be we do serve from 5 to, I think my oldest guy is I think he's going to be 82 or 83 this year, Ronnie. And you'd never know it, but camp is for everybody. Like I said, it's for the old and the young. And we're pretty proud to be able to serve all the different members that we do.
Sure. So let's talk about, this broadband of clients that you serve with an array of disabilities that you've
Yes.
got to pivot and understand. But let's kind of back up a little bit. How do you market your camps to prospective campers and I would say their families? Like, what does that look like?
Well, we have we partner with a lot of schools and go to a lot of fairs and different things like that. So we're doing a lot of the typical marketing that any other camp would be doing out there. Although we do receive a lot of referrals from the state.
Okay.
The service that it is used to actually pay for a lot of the campers that come to camp, and not all, we also do accept private pay, but many of the members coming, they're using their respite. And respite is for the families. Respite is for the families to have that time to be able to recharge, to, know that their loved one's at a safe place. But we came up with the greatest idea that the members are also being able to benefit from this. They're getting camp. So as much as we always think about how wonderful it is for our campers, and it is, don't get me wrong, but sometimes it's the other benefits that are there for our particular camp that are unsung, right? People just don't understand how much these families need it. And it's just like I said, it's one of those things. It's an underlying benefit, but it's probably one of the biggest. When you have a family member say, I haven't been on vacation for how long? I've never been on vacation. And when they realize that they can send, their son or daughter to camp, and we're going to care for them, it's wonderful. It's a great thing.
It's really remarkable, and I think that over this trajectory of decades, to think that you've been able to do this. It's a heavy lift, and I want to get into the management side of
Yeah.
staffing, because
That's
nonprofits right now, I mean, not just right now, but nonprofits have been in a labor crunch for so long, trying to get staff to do, the work of the nonprofit sector is
mhm.
really tough. Now you're talking about a camp that is pretty far away from a major population center. Um, Talk to us about this, and how do
Yeah.
you navigate this?
Well, we're located in Williams, which is about 30 miles west of Flagstaff, about 65 miles from the Grand Canyon. So, I mean, it's a quaint little town. I love it. It's so fun, and we partake a lot in what's going on in the city, the little city that it is.
Yeah. Mhm.
But if staffing is difficult, it is it's a daily job, honestly, and it's
Mhm.
changed. You and I were in the green room a little bit about how things have changed.
Yep.
Technology, young people today, how they want to work, where they want to work.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. It really is. I just came back from a camp conference. And so spending a week, I was there for a week in Palm Springs with people from all over the country at other camps and different kinds of camps, day camps and
Mm.
all kinds of camps, church camps and Ys and different things like that. Um, Everyone is having some problems with the staffing. Last year,
Okay.
we actually reached out and we hired international staff,
Mhm.
which was amazing, amazing. We had 10
Yeah.
international staff come from all over the world. We had Egypt, we had Mexico, we had the Philippines, we had Colombia, London. It was so fun, and I really also was really excited about it because I was an exchange student when I was 18
Yeah.
years old, and so having that knowledge of know how much you get from being in a different country, doing these kinds of things. I was just so excited about it. As a quick tidbit, I went when I was 18. I went back. It was the Philippines, is where I was. I went back
Awesome.
in February last year and stayed with my family after 40 years. So again, I was so excited to have this international staff
Yes.
be working with us. We also have a volunteer program.
Okay.
Again, really, unfortunately, really, really struggling, which is it just makes me really sad. We call it
Mhm.
grow our own. We coined this a few years ago, and I still have some staff that works with me that started when they were 6, 8, 12. I mean,
Mhm.
some families that have grown up with our camp that are still there. They've come back, and even they're in our management team in other places of Civitan.
Mhm.
I think that so many people don't understand that camp, we keep thinking of it as summer. It's just a summer place. It's just
Mhm.
this, but there is such a career opportunity in camp life, that
Ah.
we need to share that. We need to embrace it, and we need to get it out there. I spend every summer at camp. I'm the CEO. Sometimes I get in trouble from my board saying, "You're going to camp again?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to camp again." I love camp. I know that that's what feeds my soul, is being
Mhm.
able to go there.
Yeah.
Yes, we serve the disability community, and it's an amazing camp for that. I mean, they love it, we love it. But like I said before, our camp does so much for so many others too. The young
Mhm.
volunteers, we're trying to grow them up into, to become staff. If we can get them when they're in seventh and eighth grade to come in and understand about disabilities is another piece of our pie.
Mhm.
I have nephews that they still work for me. Honestly, one of them is the assistant camp director, but they don't know a disability. And so I know that Civitan does a really, really good job of integration and,
Mhm.
making sure that everybody feels welcome and everybody is a part of it. So, those are some of my ahas. Those are my
Mhm.
very big accomplishments that I feel so proud about when
Mhm.
we talk about Camp Civitan. But it's still hard. I mean, we call it dialing for dollars right now. Is these couple weeks we still don't have the staff we need. So we're out
Mhm.
there, we're calling, we're putting it out there, we're calling people, we're calling people, we're
Mhm.
calling people.
Mhm.
Um, you know, we at the camp conference, we talk a lot about internships, right? You talk about,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to law school, I'm going to nursing school. Well, you think about the internships that they would typically have. You know,
Mhm.
camp, like ACA, American Camp Association, believes, and I do too, that really there's no place better than an internship than at camp. You know, critical
Mhm.
thinking, always, you know, working hard, team building, all of that
Mhm.
is so critical in any job that you have. So when
Yeah.
you can come and live in a community like that, it really is going to help you in your career. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're still hiring. We always are hiring and looking for more staff to come, and they can come for the whole summer, or typically there's a lot of training.
Sure. Sure.
We with a state vendor, we have to have fingerprint clearance, all of that, blah
Mhm.
blah blah. So it takes a lot. So we don't really want
Mhm.
anybody there less than 2 weeks, but
Mhm.
we'll talk. Yeah, if they have a desire and want to learn more about it, we'll always talk to them about it.
I love it. Well,
Yeah,
let's talk a little bit about I mean, we've talked about programming and how exciting this concept is for so many people in different ways at different parts of their lives. You work with such a specific community. I've got to ask you, has it been critical that you all have owned your own camp? Because you can rent camps. You
right.
can,
Yeah,
go into that
yep,
marketplace
yeah.
and own your own camp for that 2 weeks or 4 weeks or so,
Mhm.
whatever that looks like. Talk to us about that ecosystem.
I think that Civitan has been blessed to have the asset that we do.
Mhm.
It's very, very expensive. As I told you way back when I took over, the board was at that point and say, "Oh my God, the insurance alone is incredible. How are we gonna pay for this? How are we gonna do that? The upkeep, the insurance, having somebody there full time. We're in northern Arizona, so the snow removals, all of that, it's a lot. It definitely is a big chunk. It's a big chunk of the budget to be able to keep it in there. Although the truth of the matter is that we do not use it 100% of the time.
Sure.
And we are not in a, we don't put ourselves like in a big rental. We do have partnerships with other organizations that come and, that we partner with, and they'll use our camp. They'll pay some fees for their camps.
Mhm.
It's definitely, like I said, for us, we're using it year round. We don't only just do the summer, we also do weekends throughout the rest of the year. So we will typically do between 1 and 2 weekends in January and February. We try to, go out into the community. They'll go skiing, they'll go to the Grand Canyon, they'll go and do different things. So I think that I don't have to, I think that if you rent, I mean, you've got to be pretty organized because you're going to bring in your whole everything for those, and a lot of them do like burn camps. A lot of them around Arizona who have other camps go and they rent camps for just a
Mhm.
week.
Mhm.
I was able a couple weeks ago. We did a camp powwow, and we actually went and visited 4 camps in Prescott, and we're
Um,
able to to see what they do, to see how they do it.
mhm.
We shared a lot of information with each other, and there's one camp that they are really actively working with another organization, and they're renting like all the time. So they have like a full-time renter who's picking up all the other weeks that they
Mhm.
are not doing.
Interesting.
And I think that, and I think that that's smart. Um,
Mhm.
you hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I want to buy a camp. I'm going to go buy a camp." And, I don't think that they realize how much it really, really takes. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a facilities manager who will be 82. 4th of July is his birthday. We're always in the parade in Williams of 4th of July. So it's our biggest
Yeah.
week. Everyone loves it. But Charlie's been with us for 25 years. And, finding somebody to replace him, he never really leaves because, I mean, he's not the only
Mhm.
one there. Don't get me wrong. We have others, but he still keeps coming back,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's a lot of work, and
A lot of
it
work.
takes a lot of money, and it takes a lot of time to make sure you're keeping your camp to where you want it to be.
Well, facilities management involves a historical perspective.
Yeah.
so you know who fixed that pipe or
Yes.
what
Yes.
problems are looming. It's like if
Yes.
you own your own building or you own your
Yes.
own programming
Yeah.
center,
Absolutely. Yeah.
okay, well, that roof's looking shaky.
Yeah.
We're gonna put
Yeah.
that in the
Yeah.
budget or,
Well, and then you got to, yeah, and then you got to find the funding for it.
yeah,
I mean, when you have that, we have 15 acres there. And I don't
wow.
even know how many, but 10, 12 buildings probably is what we have in total. But yeah, it's, I don't know if you rent, you just bring your stuff in a van and leave.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there's some good things and bad things about that, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
honestly, but
absolutely.
we're definitely open to talking and working with other organizations that have a need because as I said, we're not using it to our full capacity and we do have some full-time staff that are there that we could expand that a little bit.
Mhm. So let's talk about risk management because you talked about just the aspect of managing your own facilities.
Mhm.
You're in a part of the country where you have pretty substantial weather. You have snow
We do.
mitigation, you have rain that comes in the summers. I mean, you've got that, but then you're also dealing with a fragile clientele. Talk to us about risk management and what
Yeah.
that entails. That's got to be an incredibly heavy lift.
Yeah. It's well my chief compliance officer will say it is, of course, I mean that's her job. That's her wheelhouse. Although,
Yeah.
we've had a couple of conversations about it this year. Camp is camp and I think that also like when you're around a lot of other people who are also doing camps, when you talk about the things that are going wrong and the things that are you need to fix and the things you need to work on, they're so universal. So the risk management, that risk management is not. I mean, I say this a little bit with tongue in cheek. It's not a lot of different than a lot of other camps because we're
Okay.
doing typical things.
Okay.
We are very we do intakes on almost all of our clients. Almost every
Mhm.
single person who comes, we're going to do an intake. We are 35 miles to the nearest hospital. The nearest trauma center.
Mm.
We really we can't afford to take a medically fragile individual who is, requiring a lot of medical needs. We do not run with a medical staff.
Mhm.
That is, it's something that we decided a long time ago. It's not what we do best. We look for a lot of the activities and, I always say play well together. That's what we're looking for when we do intakes. The risk piece is though, in this day and age, it is, you talk about
Yeah.
and this is why our insurances are so high. It's the sexual predators,
Mhm.
the crazies out there. So, and it's we do the best that we can. All of our staff is fingerprinted, they're background checked.
Mhm.
We try to do the best we can with the training.
Mhm.
A lot of it is a lot of oversight and watching and pivoting. I think that is something that is also really, really important, is to know when you've got to make those changes, right? In
Mhm.
this kind of a setting, if it's not working with a staff or a client or a volunteer, we gotta make the change because there's too many other
Mhm.
people there
Mhm.
that are affected from it. So I think that when you talk about the risk management, I think it's assessing it really quickly and
Mhm.
and making the change that needs to be made. It's a little bit different than in the office that you can watch it and watch it and watch it. We
Mhm.
can't. We live in a community. It's a commune. We all live together. We
Mhm.
work together. We eat together. We play together. Everybody doesn't love everybody, but I'm looking for respect, and that's the main thing about camp is to find the people like minds that want to be together.
Right. I would imagine that you have an interesting kind of vendor relationship, given that you're not operating your camp in a major part of the Western United States.
Mhm.
You're what, 5 hours from Phoenix, Arizona, four
No, it's
hours
only
from Las
it's only
Vegas?
about three. It's about
Oh,
three.
three? Okay, so 3 hours
Yeah, it's
from
about
Phoenix
three.
and 3 hours from Vegas too, or two
Yeah,
less?
pretty much. It's yeah, maybe a little bit more. They're pretty close to each other. Yes.
Okay. So when you're looking at that, I mean, that's an interesting aspect because camps generally are not in the population centers, right? I mean, they're
Hmm. Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
pretty far,
Yeah.
but you're really far.
Yeah.
That's got to be somewhat challenging.
Well, I think, we do it. We do a charter bus we go Mondays to Mondays is our camp in the summer. So we do a
Okay.
charter bus every Monday from Phoenix. So those that wish to get to Phoenix or are in Phoenix, we have the majority of our population does come from Maricopa County. A lot of them are from this
Okay.
area, but we have reached out and branched out. We do a stop in like Cornish Junction, Camp Verde. We're picking up a little bit all up the hill as we
Mhm.
go. But we're out soliciting to like Havasu, to Kingman, Las Vegas. We that was on our list this year. We used to have a group that came every year. We need to get back in and do some recruiting there. I think it was a COVID, situation, and that it stopped. So we need to get back out there and do that. We have a few that are coming from like Tuba City, up in that area. And then of course the Flagstaff and all in Prescott, we have campers that are coming from those areas. And either the parents are driving them up themselves, but that definitely is on our agenda for the coming years, is to reach some of these smaller communities, because as I said, the thing that is really the most important is a respite for the families. The campers will always have a good time. We will show them the best week of their lives. They will love it. But it's the families that need the respite, and we need to get out into those communities and make sure that they know that we're here and available and ready to serve their loved ones.
Interesting. This has been a fascinating conversation because over the years I've talked to you about Camp Civitan, but I've never talked to you on the back end side, like the management and the
Yeah.
structure of it, and seeing your organization flourish. In the short amount of time that we have left, given that you've gone through COVID, you've gone through now, or we're all going through a shift in federal management and a change of administration. What do you see like the next 5 years looking like for your organization? Big
Organization.
question.
Yeah. Well, I see our organization continuing to grow.
Mhm.
I probably, I probably will be looking, around that time within the 5 years. That's probably will be my exit time, or start
Yeah.
thinking about it a little bit.
Mhm.
I still love what I do, so I'm not so fast to be retiring like a lot of my friends. You're still working, right? We love it.
Good.
I think that Civitan will continue to be an organization that families are looking to for the supports that they need. Employment is a huge push. We've been
Mhm.
in employment. We do employment. A lot of changes in that arena. So we are trying to navigate them. We've created our own workplaces. We have our commercial kitchen. We have our thrift stores. We're very big in the arts. Our art centers are booming with the products that they're making, and we need to find a way that they're going to be sharing it. A lot of arts. We do the music. We do a lot of media. We're looking to bring in more programming for our individuals that they want. I think that is kind of a shift. Kind of always been that way, but in the back seat a little
Mhm.
bit.
Mhm.
We're working with them, and we're finding the things that they want to do. We had our annual. Well, we haven't done it for 11 years, and we did our first old annual golf tournament on Monday. And so like we had one of our bands. We have 3 bands. One of our bands played at the
Mhm.
golf tournament. Our choir, they did the national anthem at the beginning of the golf tournament.
Mhm.
We have people out, going to all kinds of, we do a lot of theater things. They're doing the things that they want to do. And I
Yeah.
think that that's what's important. And that's what we're supporting,
Wow.
is to get them out in the community, the integration, and yeah,
Keep
no
going
boundaries.
forward. Yeah, I love it. Well, Don Trapp, amazing conversation. Dawn is
Thank
the
you.
CEO of Civitan Foundation. You can learn more about her work and her organization at Civitan Foundation AZ.org. And really, they have some amazing information on their website that takes you through the history of the camp. I think that we've changed our attitudes about working with people with disabilities. And so that in itself is riveting to find, to see that through line of how this organization has been so successful. Dawn, it's congratulations on your years
Thank
of
you.
hard work. Yeah,
Thank you.
you've worked, I know you've been a hard worker.
Well, I think that, when you really do love what you do, it really does make it so much easier.
Yeah.
The members that we serve, I've watched them grow up, and I always say I get to adult with them now. I don't have children of my own, and so when you hear people say I adult with my kids, I love that, and I do too. Like we don't put up with any, we don't put up with any BS. We have these conversations that are real and raw, and that really is that's what makes it so wonderful. So
Well, you are a treasure. I am so appreciative to be able to support you and see your work. We are supported by these amazing people as well, and they include Bloomerang, American Nonprofit Academy, Staffing Boutique, JMT Consulting, Interim Executives Academy, Your Part-Time Controller, and Fundraisers Friday. They're the folks that have allowed us to be doing the nonprofit show now for 6 years and more than 1,300 episodes. So thank you very, very much. As we end each and every episode, we like to remind ourselves, our viewers, our listeners, our guests to stay well so you can do well. Thanks.